I wrote Measuring the Mosaic, which is subtitled An Intellectual Biography of John Porter, because I thought it was important to tell the story of John Porter and the importance of the vertical mosaic for the development of Canadian sociology. John Porter is without a doubt the most famous English language sociologist ever, and his book, The Vertical Mosaic, is without a doubt the most important book in the history of Canadian sociology, I would argue either in French or in English. Yeah, the vertical mosaic was important because in the 1950s and the 1960s there was this conventional image of Canada as a classless society, or at least one where most people were middle class, and that various ethnic groups that made up Canadian society, this sort of mosaic of ethnic groups, was one where everybody was pretty much equal in terms of their the possessions they owned, the lifestyle that they enjoyed, and the opportunities that they enjoyed. What Porter was able to do using a variety of sources of data, census data, material from various kinds of government surveys, income tax data, and so on, was to show that in fact Canada was a highly stratified society where less than 1 in 10 or 12 people probably enjoyed the kind of middle class lifestyle that the conventional image of Canadian society held to be the case. At that time it took about $8,000 to enjoy that kind of lifestyle, and at the time something on the order of 60 or 70% of Canadians actually made less than half that. Yeah, the other thing that he was able to show counter to the popular image was that there was a great deal of ethnic inequality in Canada. The conventional image was this idea that Canada was made up of a large number of ethnic groups, that everybody kind of got along, everybody had a roughly equal lifestyle, everybody had roughly equal kinds of opportunities to get ahead in life. And what he showed, again using a variety of different kinds of data, was that nothing of the sort was the case. That in fact Canadian society was highly stratified in ethnic terms, with white Anglo-Saxon Protestants at the top, following through groups from Western and Northern Europe, slightly lower, French Canadians and so on, down to people from native backgrounds at the bottom. And not only was it the case that they were unequal, but that they were kind of frozen in these positions, so that Canada was not in flux or a place where there were lots of opportunities for everybody and they were constantly changing, rather that it was in fact a mosaic, a hierarchical or vertical mosaic where people were stuck in their positions in terms of both ethnicity on the one hand and class on the other. The importance of the vertical mosaic for the historical development of Canadian sociology had to do essentially with justifying and legitimating the discipline in the mid-1960s, at a time when the Canadian university system was growing rapidly. And the opportunity was there for sociology to become a full partner in the Canadian social science enterprise. Prior to 1965, when the vertical mosaic came out, Canadian sociology was a very small discipline scattered across the country, relatively few appointments by comparison with other universities and other disciplines. And what the vertical mosaic did was it provided the definitive account at the time of Canadian society. And so that rather than the definitive account coming from history or economics or political science, instead it came from sociology. And what that meant was that all of a sudden Canadian sociology came of age, other disciplines and other scholars from other disciplines had to pay attention, and that allowed Canadian sociologists who were then building departments to take full advantage of the opportunities that they had because funding was available to establish a journal, to establish a professional association, to hire all kinds of people, to expand course offerings, and so forth. In the end, what it essentially did was to help Canadian sociology come of age and legitimate it at a time when it was going to be able to expand rapidly given the circumstances in Canadian academia.